Hi everyone. So there were a lot of questions after I posted our experiences following our recent solar installation. So I just wanted to share with you some of the details to answer some of those questions. First of all, the company that we ended up going with is a company called Project Solar UK. Their website's projectsolaruk.com. They're on Trustpilot. They adopted their site on Trustpilot in 2014 and have got just under 3,000 reviews, overall rating 4.1. They're one of the bigger companies. They have an excellent customer service. They've got an excellent service support, fantastic sales team, not pushy at all. Of all the companies we went out to quote for, they were, I would say, in my opinion, the most professional. The guarantees that they offered on the various aspects of their systems were the best of all of the companies that we went out to quote to. So for example, the solar panels have got a 100-year guarantee in terms of function, and they've got an 80% output guarantee at the 20-year point. The next big component is the inverter. So the inverter's got a 99-year guarantee. And the next big component, we went for a battery as well. So the battery that we got's got a 15-year guarantee. And comparing that to the other suppliers we went to, most of the other suppliers, well, I think in fact none of them went beyond 10 years. So the guarantees were way above all of the others. In terms of costs, they're probably a bit more expensive than your local smaller companies, but definitely on par with the other big companies. And as always with these things, it's a bit of an investment, and I think you get what you pay for. So we were quite happy to pay the little bit extra for that. Our system itself is a 15-panel system. Each one of those panels is 400 watts maximum output, so it's a 6 kilowatt system. My understanding is a 6 kilowatt system is the maximum you can have on a residential property, so you can't actually get more than that. Reading online blogs and what have you, I think the average system in the UK is something like 3.8 kilowatts. So it's bigger than the average. We've got a 4-bedroom house. With two grown-up teenagers with gaming PCs, and so our demands annualised are about just over 5,000 kilowatt hours per year, which is slightly above average for a 4-bedroom house. We also opted for a storage battery. Project Solar have a number of options. I think the lowest capacity option was something like 3.6 kilowatts. We went for the next one up, which was 5.8 kilowatts. And then they can daisy chain up to a maximum of just under 18 kilowatts. Graham, who was our sales guy, pitched it perfectly. So Project Solar UK have a referral scheme. It's part of their website. I'll put the link in the box. I've also put my email address in the box. So if you want to take advantage of the referral, you can use the link that they give you. You've got to put in your name, email address, phone number, and you put in the referrer's name or company, and then you put your inquiry details. So for the referral name, if you put my name, which is Rob Parker, and if you can also put in brackets Tingewick, which is where I'm based, so they know which Rob Parker it is, they'll be able to link that back to me. It would be really helpful as well if you would just pop an email to me to let me know that you've done that, so that I can follow up on the referral. Alternatively, if you just want to email me, I can arrange for Project Solar to contact you directly. Either way, if you do end up deciding to go with Project Solar, if the referral is done and it's acknowledged, and I get a payment from their scheme, I'll split that payment with you 50-50. So I'll make that commitment. So that's just kind of a recognition that you've used my referral and sharing the benefits, basically, so we both get a little bit out of it. Not going to make us rich, but every little bit helps. The other key element that you need to consider is your energy supplier. The opportunity to sell energy back to the grid. The value of that varies hugely by which supplier you're with. We were with Bulb. The maximum we'd get with Bulb, I think, was 4.5p per kilowatt hour. Octopus and Tesla currently are the highest ones. Tesla's only viable if you actually have a Tesla car, and so you've got the battery packs and you plug in and use their system. So we went with Octopus. Octopus have a couple of options in terms of their buyback options. They have a fixed rate tariff where they'll pay 7.5p per kilowatt hour, but they also have this thing called Octopus Outgoing Agile. That is a system whereby they offer you a market rate that varies every 30 minutes. I've just got my first credit back from them for the period of July, and my average came out to about 25p per kilowatt hour. Woo! But on my usage, that was actually £120. So when you see my payback calculations, you'll see how that annualized up. Also with Octopus, I'm going to put a referral link in the comments if you're not currently with Octopus and you do get solar, whether you go with Project Solar UK or whether you go with another supplier. Definitely worth changing your tariff, assuming you're not in any fixed rate deals at the moment, which I think very few people are. We're all paying the cap pretty much at the moment now. They are taking on new customers, especially keen on taking on customers with solar panels. There's a referral link in the comments, so if you use that referral link, you'll get £50 credited to your account when you go live with them, and I'll also get £50 on my account. So I'll take you through the system, show you a couple of pictures of what the system looked like. The installation crew were fantastic. The scaffolding company came, they communicated with me beforehand. Everything was agreed in advance. I knew exactly when they were coming. The scaffolding went up in a day. The guys were great, no damage done. They put boards down on the floor to spread the load, protected the side of the house. The crew that actually came to do the install were great, a very friendly bunch. They were in and out in a day. So the whole installation process was really, really smooth. And the guys on site took the time to explain to me exactly what they were doing, where everything went. And before they left, they made sure that everything was set up. We got the app downloaded on my phone, the login details so you can log in online. All of these companies got their wonderful apps that show you exactly how the system's working. So yeah, installation I could not fault. In fact, on the positive side, I would say it was a really good experience. So this is what the installation looked like. Scaffolding's up, as you can see, and this is what it looked like when the job's done. They put the battery and the inverter in the loft, so that's tucked up out of the way. We don't get to see that. And the guys left site. Everything was clean and tidy. If you'll notice the panels themselves are, I'd say, latest technology. I mean, obviously the sales guys are going to tell me that, but I think they are. They're like 400 watt panels, which I think is quite high by ratings per panel. And actually, just looking at them, they look a lot nicer than most of the panels you see on houses. There's no borders around the edges. I wouldn't say it's seamless, but it's certainly a lot more seamless in terms of looking at. And our house has got a grey slate roof, and so the panels actually look quite nice against our roof. So really pleased with the look of it. So in terms of the payback calculations, let me run you through some of the numbers. The first thing you need to do, if you're not aware, I'm sure you are, is you need to have an understanding of your annual kilowatt hours that you consume as a family. Ignore standing charges. Let's just look at the actual consumption, because obviously it doesn't matter what you do with solar, you're still going to pay your standing charge. So the only number you're really interested in is how many kilowatt hours do you use per year. Now, our annualised hours, on the top of your electricity bill, it should say it on yours as well. It tells you how much energy you've used. It gives you an estimated 12 months, and basically what they do is they total up the last 12 months. So my annualised consumption is 5,053 kilowatt hours. How do we kind of balance what we're seeing in 1 month versus what we expect over the whole period? When the sales guys quote to you how much of your energy they believe will be provided by solar, they quote really, really conservative numbers, and they're required to by law. The government regulate the industry, so when they talk to you about your annualised savings, and you get these quotes, and you'll be looking at probably 10 to 15 years payback. A lot of people are put off by that. Understandably, it's quite a long payback period. But the reality of it is, I would say, very different. At least that's what I'm seeing. I feel quite confident in saying that when you get the numbers from the companies you're going to, that they'll give you very conservative numbers. So for the month of July, and I appreciate July is probably the best month to look at. We'll come back to that because obviously we can temper that. So for the month of July, I only pulled just under 10 kilowatt hours from the grid, so 9.6 kilowatt hours. My solar system showed me that it provided me with 303 kilowatt hours that I consumed, and there was a balance that went out to the SEG system. So my split in terms of grid usage versus solar usage was 97%. 90% of the energy I used came from solar. Current rates, and this is standard rates, it probably varies a little bit from supply to supply, but this is basically price cap rates. So these are current rates before the next October increase, 42 pence per kilowatt hour. So my cost of electricity from the grid was £4.07. That means as well that my solar saving, using the same rate, was £128.35. Now, what I've done here now, so 97% is the key figure, okay? Fantastic month, obviously, sunshine and all the rest of it. My annualised consumption is 5,000 kilowatt hours. Now, I've decided to go with a 10%, 90% allocation. The reason I've done this is, if you look at what I'm actually yielding from my solar system, at the height of summer, more than 50% of what I'm yielding is going out to the grid, I'm selling back to the grid. So what I'm going to assume is that in winter, I don't send anything to the grid, and in summer, I do what I did last month. So what I'm going to go with is, I'm going to assume that on average, overall 90% of my power requirements are going to come from my solar system. So in the summer, I'm going to get more, 97%. In the winter, I'm going to get less, 83%. But the average will be 90%. That's what I'm going to assume. So I'm kind of using I'm assuming worst case in the middle of winter, my solar's still going to cover around about 80% of my requirements. And I'm fairly comfortable that it will do that, because I know on a very cloudy day, the total system's rated at 6 kilowatts. I'm still getting around about 1.2 to 1.5 kilowatts out of the system. So at the height of winter, an 8-hour day, I'm still going to get around about 10 kilowatt hours out of the system, which will be enough to charge the battery for the night, and it will also be enough to do most of the things that we do during the day. So the washing machine, the tumble dryer, the dishwasher, all those sorts of things. So 80% for the winter. So we're going to go with a 90% allocation overall as an average for the whole year. So that means that 4,548 kilowatt hours comes from solar of my annual, and 505 comes from the grid of my annual. So just looking at the savings, so the solar side of it, and on the July rates, £1,926 is my annualised savings based on the current July rate of just under 42, just over 42p per kilowatt hour, 1,926. Now you'll see the latest in the news, the price cap's set to go up by 81% in October. So that annualised savings will actually increase to £3,487, and there's some figures there that you can Google and search, and if you actually search energy price cap outlook, there's various sites and they all seem to be saying the same thing. So ITV News, Martin Lewis, The Guardian, thisismoney.co.uk. So October, and then again same sites talking about the January 23 increase. So the cap will go basically from 1971 as it is today to 4266. So my annualised savings then will come out at, and this is just the electricity consumption, 4169, just purely for the electricity used. The other element to, where do you make savings is what you sell back to the grid. So you can see for July, I've got a flat number there. I know exactly what I sold back. It was a whole month. It was £121.96. It averaged about 24 pence per kilowatt hour. So I have assumed July, fantastic month, middle of winter, I'm going to sell back nothing. So basically, if I annualise that July number and then halve it, I should get an average for the year. So the average for the year is £731.76p. Woo. Now, my system costs just over £13,000. All right, so we're now able to calculate a payback in years. And I know this number is possibly a little bit misleading because energy prices are high. However, the savings that we are going to be making now is going to make a significant impact to whatever the overall payback timeline is going to be. Based on if everything was to stay at the current levels, so the current July levels, my annualized savings is my SEG income plus my savings on the solar, £2,658, payback's 4.9 years. We know the rates are going to go up in October. If they stayed at the October rates, it's 3.1 years. I mean, obviously it's not going to stay at the October rates. In actual fact, it looks like it's going to go up again. So January 23, if that rate was to hold, 2.7 years. So I appreciate the payback years maybe is a little bit misleading because we're in an exceptional situation. If we hit the rates that we're looking at in January, and let's say that's the peak, and they sit there for, let's say, 6 months, and then maybe they come down in October, and they sit at the October levels for, who knows, a period, 3 to 6 months, and then they come back to the levels they're currently at, which are the July levels, another 3 to 6 months. We've got at least, I can see, I'll have at least a year to 2 years of these very high savings levels, and who knows how long it will go on for. So if we stayed at the July level as an ongoing thing, we're talking about 5 years. If we look at the calculation for payback for the pre-energy crisis period, you'll see I've put 8.1 years, and that's lower than what we were originally anticipating when we got our quotes through the sales channels, and that's primarily because the sales guys have to be very conservative over what you're going to get back through the SEG payback scheme. So we were originally quoted something like £110 a year is what we'd get in terms of income, and July alone was 120. So when we originally quoted, we were looking at something like 11, 12, 13 years, something like that. When you put that, when you put in the actual income that we're getting, that pre-energy crisis payback period was 8.1 years. All right, so it's interesting to see even before the energy crisis, paybacks on the systems I think are quicker than the standard quotes that the sales guys are obliged to give us. And then if we factor into that a year or two where we've got these increased savings, I can easily see that my payback period is going to be 5 years or less. I just also wanted to share with you a device that I initially tried and have decided not to continue using. There's a gadget called a Solar iBoost, and it interfaces with your immersion heater for your hot water tank, and it detects when you're sending excess electricity to the grid, and when it finds you're doing that, it turns on the immersion heater to heat up your hot water in your hot water tank. And then once your hot water's up to temperature, the immersion heater switches off, and then you continue diverting to the grid. So you actually have the opportunity to have hot water via your solar panels. And I initially did this. I bought one of these devices. They're only about £300, £50 for an electrician to install. They're very, very simple and straightforward to do. When I then looked into detail into the Octopus outgoing agile rates, I realised that a kilowatt of energy for electricity was worth 25 pence to me if I exported it, whereas a kilowatt of gas energy to heat my water was costing me, when heating via gas, just under 7p per kilowatt. So it's actually more cost effective to export your kilowatt of energy to the grid and get paid your 25p in electricity, and then pay for your gas at 6 and a bit pence for a kilowatt's worth of gas heating. So the system's still there, it's just switched off. It's something that's available in the future, but I just thought I'd share that with you. Some people it may still make sense, depending on your configuration and setup. It may still make sense to take advantage of your excess PV power to heat your hot water cylinder. So I've shared the details with you. Hopefully someone will find that of use as well. This has been of interest. Like I say, there's a couple of referral links if you're interested. It benefits both you and me. The Octopus one is a simple one. All you've got to do is contact Octopus and quote the code. The Project Solar one is not so simple. If you can email me, I'm monitoring the account, and I'll make sure that a referral is done so that you can get you can be made contact on the basis of a referral. That doesn't stop you contacting Project Solar, from a general point of view. But if you give them any of your details, like your name and address, then if you try and refer later on, they'll just turn you down for the referral option. In terms of the value of the referral, it's worth. I think the starting rate is £500, which would split 50-50. So it's worth £250 basically, while the scheme is running. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this useful, valuable, and thank you very much for listening.